Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. Today's story isn't just about betrayal. It's about the exact second a man realizes the life he's defending isn't his anymore. Let's begin. It was 3:41 a.m. when my front door opened. Not slammed, not creaked. Opened, quietly, like someone was trying not to wake a man who hadn't slept. I was sitting in the dark living room, my phone screen dimmed after hours of no replies. A blanket wrapped around my legs like armor. I hadn't moved in 6 hours. I hadn't even blinked, I think. I was afraid if I stood up, the truth would crash into me full force. But now it was walking in through the door. She didn't know I was awake. She didn't expect me to be sitting there. She stepped inside barefoot, heels dangling from one hand, the other clutched around her purse. Except, it wasn't her purse. Renee owns exactly 5 handbags. She rotates them with the kind of precision you'd expect from a surgeon or a chess master. But this one had gold initials on the strap, EV, her initials RRD. Not even close. She didn't see me. She dropped the heels quietly, kicked them under the bench, and started tiptoeing toward the stairs. Her clothes were wrinkled like she'd been in a hot car all night. There was a tear in the neckline of her top, a stain on her skirt, and the makeup, smudged like it had weathered something violent or passionate. I honestly didn't want to know which. I said her name. She froze. Didn't turn around. Didn't say anything. Just stopped mid-step. I stood up and asked calmly, "Whose purse is that?" Still nothing. Then she said, voice shaking, almost too soft to hear, "Please don't do this right now, Herb." My heart cracked in places I didn't even know existed. She bolted up the stairs. The bathroom door slammed. The shower turned on immediately, drowning out everything else. I didn't chase her. I didn't yell. I walked over to the bench and picked up the purse. There was a wallet inside, and a phone, and a hotel key card. The lock screen lit up with a message. "Let me know when he falls asleep. I'm still at the bar. I'll wait." That was when my hands started shaking. Not because of the message, but because I recognized the sender. Ethan Vargo. Her coworker. Her work husband. The guy she swore was just funny and totally not her type. The man whose initials were EV. She didn't just come home with the wrong purse. She came home with his. The water had been running for almost 30 minutes. I just stood outside the bathroom door, holding that purse like it was ticking. Every few seconds, I checked the phone again, not because I expected a new message, but because I couldn't stop staring at the last one. "Let me know when he falls asleep." My name wasn't even mentioned. Just he. Like I was an obstacle to manage. Like I didn't even have a name in their story. I finally knocked. Not hard. Just enough to be heard over the steam and spray. "Renee," I said, voice hollow. "I need you to come out. We're going to talk. And we're not going to lie this time." No answer. I pressed my forehead against the door. I could feel the vibration of the water still pounding against the tiles. She was stalling. Cleaning off a night she didn't want to explain. Or maybe she was crying. I wanted to believe that, because if she wasn't crying, then she'd really left me behind long ago. When she finally opened the door, she looked small. Her eyes were red, and she was wrapped in 2 towels, one around her body, one on her head. She didn't even try to fake a smile. She just said, "You went through my stuff." I held up the purse like evidence in a courtroom. "This isn't your stuff." She blinked twice, looked down, then took a step back like she'd just realized her mistake. I picked it up by accident. It was dark. We were drinking. I didn't notice. "You didn't notice you came home with your coworker's purse?" I asked. My voice cracked on the word coworker. She didn't answer. She just stared at me. And in that moment, I realized something even worse than betrayal. She wasn't sorry. She was calculating. "Give it back," she said finally. "I'll return it." I shook my head. "His phone is still in here." That got her attention. Her lips parted slightly. Then she lunged forward, trying to snatch the bag from my hands. But I held it tighter. "Herb, stop it. You're acting crazy." "Then tell me I'm wrong," I said. "Say you didn't go there to meet him. Say you didn't turn off your phone because you didn't want me to know. Say it wasn't his jacket I saw in the back seat of your car 2 nights ago." She looked like she was about to scream. But instead, she dropped her arms and whispered something I wasn't ready to hear. "I don't know how to fix this anymore. Not, I didn't cheat. Not, I love you. Just that." And it broke me more than anything she could have confessed. She sat down at the kitchen table, still damp from the shower, her hair dripping onto the towel wrapped around her shoulders. I didn't say a word. Neither did she. Between us sat her wine glass from the night before, still half full, and his phone, still glowing with the last message. The air was thick, and the silence wasn't just uncomfortable. It was alive, like it had teeth. I had 1,000 questions, and none of them seemed worth asking anymore. The damage wasn't just done, it had roots. It had a name, and it had been living in my marriage for God knows how long. I never planned for it to happen, she said eventually, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't ask what it was. She assumed I knew. And maybe I did. I watched her stare at the floor like she was reading from it. At first it was just texting. Harmless. That's what I told myself. He made me laugh during those awful budget meetings. You were always busy, or tired, or both. And I guess I just drifted. I nodded slowly, trying to keep my breathing normal. She spoke like she was explaining why she forgot to water the plants, not why she betrayed me. He understands the part of me I've been burying for years, Herb, she continued, and I felt that word, burying, like a nail in my chest. I tried to tell you. I hinted. But you thought dinner once a week and asking how my day was would fix everything. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the phone and throw it through the window. Instead, I just said, "So you slept with him?" She looked me dead in the eyes and nodded. No tears, no excuses, just that tiny, soul-splitting nod that said more than any confession ever could. I pushed the phone across the table toward her. He's still waiting for your reply. Her hands trembled as she reached for it. Are you leaving? I asked. She hesitated. I don't know. I thought I was. But when I walked in and saw you sitting there in the dark, I didn't expect that. You didn't expect me to be awake? I didn't expect to feel guilty. I don't remember standing up. I just remember my knees being weak and my voice shaking as I said, "You don't get to leave with him and keep my sympathy." She didn't respond, but I could tell from her face, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. No note, no text, just the faint scent of her shampoo lingering in the hallway and a half-empty drawer where her favorite jeans used to be. I stood there, staring at the gap in our life like it had always been there, like I'd just been too blind or too scared to see it. I didn't go to work. I didn't shower. I sat at the kitchen table replaying everything, from the way she said his name to the way she didn't say mine. The phone she left behind, his phone, was still charging on the counter. I picked it up again, hoping there'd be nothing new. But there it was, a voice message. I pressed play. At first, it was just background noise. People laughing, club music, maybe a bar. Then her voice. Soft. Tired. But not sad. "Hey, I'm sorry," I panicked. "I grabbed your bag by mistake." He saw it. He knows. "I'll deal with it. Just don't call for a while." Then she paused, and her voice dropped lower. Slower. "I miss you already. I wish I was waking up next to you." I dropped the phone like it burned me. It didn't matter that she was technically still here. Emotionally, she had packed her bags months ago. I just hadn't noticed, or refused to. I spent so long believing that love was about patience and endurance. That if I stayed good, stayed loyal, stayed small, she'd remember why she chose me. But love doesn't work like that when one person is already halfway out the door, whispering "I love you" into someone else's voicemail. I stared at the front door for a long time. At 9:22 a.m., it opened. She walked in with 2 coffees and smiled, as if the night before hadn't happened, as if she hadn't crushed me just hours earlier. "I figured you didn't sleep much," she said, placing the cup in front of me. Her tone was bright, hollow, like a waitress pretending everything was fine for the tip. I didn't touch the drink. She sat down across from me like it was any other morning. I could smell a different cologne on her shirt. Not mine. Not hers. His. "Did you listen to his message?" I asked, my voice flat. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then she stood up again, took her coffee, and said, "I need time, Herb. Time to figure out what all this means." "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to pause my life while you make up your mind." She froze at the doorway, then turned around slowly and whispered, "Then I guess I'll be back for the rest of my things later." And just like that, she was gone again. But this time, she didn't take the wrong purse. She took my peace. The house was so quiet after she left, it felt like time had stopped breathing. I didn't move. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat at the kitchen table, staring at the untouched coffee until it went cold. I tried to imagine her in his apartment, or hotel room, or wherever they met, laughing at something dumb he said, wearing the same shirt she hugged me in just days ago. the same mouth that kissed my forehead whispering into his ear. Around noon, I got up. I didn't know what I was doing until I was already doing it. I grabbed a roll of trash bags. I walked into the bedroom and opened her side of the closet. Everything still smelled like her, like lilac detergent and overpriced perfume. I started packing, not with anger, with focus. Her shoes, her workout gear, her collection of carefully folded sweaters that she never let me wash. I packed everything into bags with clinical precision, not because I wanted to punish her, because I needed to reclaim space, any space, where I didn't feel small. I emptied the bathroom drawers, took her robe off the back of the door, took down the framed photo of us from our honeymoon. I didn't break it. I didn't burn anything. I just placed it gently in the box with the others. Then I stood there and realized something chilling. I hadn't even opened her nightstand drawer. And when I did, I found something I hadn't expected. A second phone. Old, beat up, tucked under a stack of receipts and in used lotion samples. But it powered on. And there were texts, hundreds of them. Some months old, some days, all from the same contact listed as just a single letter, E. They weren't just messages. They were a second life. Whole conversations about where to meet, what excuses to use, how to handle the guilt. Voice notes, even photos, hotel beds, wine glasses. A picture of her in a red dress I'd never seen before, captioned, "He thinks I'm at book club LOL." That was the moment my heartbreak turned into nausea. And then, footsteps outside. She was back. I barely had time to shove the second phone into my hoodie pocket before the front door opened, and she walked in, keys in hand, sunglasses still on. She froze when she saw the boxes. "What is this?" she asked, her voice tight. "You said you'd be back for your things," I replied. "I didn't mean today." I shrugged. I did. But what I didn't tell her was that one thing was missing. The one thing I now had. Her secret phone. And I wasn't giving it back. Renee didn't notice I was hiding something. Or maybe she was too distracted by the sight of her entire life packed neatly into boxes. She walked from room to room like she was trying to decide whether this was a breakup or an ambush. Her eyes scanned everything, but her voice stayed low, controlled, rehearsed. "This feels petty, Herb," she said as she passed by me in the hallway. "You're doing this for spite." "No," I said, without looking at her. "I'm doing this for clarity." She didn't ask what I meant. Maybe she knew. She took a few bags, left others. She said she'd come back the next day to get the rest. I didn't respond. I just watched from the living room window as she drove away without saying goodbye. Once the car disappeared, I locked the door, pulled out the old phone, and sat down on the edge of the couch like it might collapse under the weight of what I was about to do. I didn't know if it was legal or even morally defensible, but I clicked into the call logs. The name, E, appeared again and again, late nights, mid-afternoons, once even at 6 a.m. the day of our anniversary. I played one of the voice notes. His voice was deeper than I expected. Confident. Smug. "You looked amazing last night. I still can't believe you whispered that in my ear while your husband was in the next room. You're something else, Renee." I felt sick, like the walls around me had narrowed by inches. Then the phone buzzed. "Incoming call." "E," I froze. Then answered. Silence for a second. Then, "Renee." I didn't say anything. "Hey, you okay?" His tone was lighter now. "I didn't think you'd be calling back so soon. You forget your code or something." I finally spoke. "This isn't Renee." Silence again. Longer this time. Then a scoff. "Oh, I see. So, the husband finally figures it out. Congratulations. Little late. But hey, better than never, right?" I gripped the phone so tightly I thought it might crack. "You think this is funny?" I said, voice shaking. "You're proud of what you've done?" "I think," he replied smoothly, "that if you'd paid a little more attention, we wouldn't even be talking right now." And then he hung up. No threats. No denial. Just a mic drop. That was the moment I realized something terrifying. He didn't think he was taking my wife. He thought I'd already given her away. I sat there staring at the blank screen of the burner phone long after the call ended. The air felt heavier. Not like grief anymore. Something darker. Not sadness, not rage. It was the cold emptiness of knowing the person you loved didn't just lie to you. They built a second life in the cracks of your silence. And what scared me the most was how normal she made it all look. How easily she walked in and out of our house with my trust still hanging in the air like a picture framed that hadn't noticed it fell. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I opened every file on the old phone. Messages, Photos, call logs, audio recordings. I knew I shouldn't be doing this. It felt like spying or invading something I didn't have the stomach to keep, but I couldn't stop myself. Then I found it. A folder named R. Tucked inside were screenshots. Dozens of them. Of me. Photos from behind. In the yard. At the sink. On the couch. Texts she had sent to Ethan. He still folds my towels the wrong way. I just laugh and fix them when he's not looking. He thinks date night is pizza and a documentary. He's so proud of that. I don't hate him. He just doesn't see me. And then one message that didn't feel like it was meant for Ethan at all. I wonder if he ever knew the real me. Or just the quiet version I pretended to be. I closed the phone. My hands were shaking. I didn't know if I should scream or cry or just disappear into the floor. But I knew one thing. I couldn't be in that house another second. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and left. No destination. Just roads. Eventually, I pulled over at a gas station off Route 8. I stood in the cold, staring at the vending machine like it had answers. I don't know how long I was out there when I heard my phone buzz. My real phone. It was Renee. We need to talk. I'm at the house. Please come back. No punctuation. No emotion. But I went. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to hear the apology. Maybe I needed the lie one more time, just to kill the last piece of hope in me. When I opened the door, she was standing in the hallway with her arms crossed. She wasn't crying. She was furious. You went through my phone, she snapped. I didn't flinch. I didn't even know it existed. You had no right. No, I cut her off. You had no right to make a joke of my life, to build a second reality behind my back. She went quiet. Then she said something that didn't sound like Renee at all. Something that chilled me to my core. I never planned on getting caught, Herb. But now that I am, I'm not sorry. For a moment, after she said it, everything went still. I'm not sorry, she repeated, as if doubling down would somehow erase the months of secrets and the weight of what she'd done. I stood across from her in the same hallway where we once laughed after painting the walls together. Now it felt like a museum of a marriage that never really existed, at least not in the way I thought it did. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just looked at her and asked, "Then why are you still here?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. For the first time, she looked unsure. Not me. Not the guy who always doubted himself. She looked at the bags stacked by the door, then at the old phone still on the table, then at me. Really looked at me. "Because I thought maybe you'd fight for me," she whispered. I nodded slowly. "I've been fighting for us alone for years, Renee. But I won't fight for someone who isn't even in the ring." I handed her the keys to her car, picked up the last bag, and opened the door for her. No drama. No ultimatums. Just peace. Her eyes filled with tears, but this time, I didn't reach out. I let her feel it. She left without another word. The next few days were hard. There were moments I doubted everything. Who I was, what I did wrong, whether any of it had ever been real. But then something strange happened. I started breathing again. I reorganized the kitchen. I went for walks. I called friends I hadn't seen in years. I deleted old texts and replaced photos on the walls with art I actually liked. I even bought fresh sheets, because I deserved that much. And the silence? It stopped being heavy. It started feeling like mine. Last week, I found the old phone in a drawer. I charged it one last time, factory reset it, and dropped it off at a recycling center. That chapter's done. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not scared of the next one. Thanks for watching this emotional roller coaster on Reddit Confessions. Here's our question for you. Have you ever found something that changed the way you saw someone forever? Drop your story in the comments. We read every single one. And remember, sometimes walking away isn't the end. It's the beginning.